Hey, what's up, gamer? Skelemystyk. I am here today in the privacy of my Outlaw's Refuge because I want to talk about one of the most controversially debated subjects within the game of Wizard101. This subject is more controversial than whether or not Wizard101 is really a free-to-play game. It's more controversial than whether or not Hilda Brewer, our potion master in the commons, is really a man. It's a man, baby. Or a woman. It is even more controversial than that. The subject we're going to talk today about is PvP boosting. Some people are for it, some people are against it, and boy, there's a lot of complaining in between. So I'm going to cover the subject from both sides, and let's see where we come out at the end of the day on this topic. I'm really reserving my opinion. I really honestly have to say that I don't have a personal opinion about it. I mean, it can go either way as far as I'm concerned. But let's start with the reasons that people who PvP boost actually do it. One thing I can tell you from experience, it is tough. It is a tough row to hoe to rank up in PvP single matches, 1v1 matches. If you are a private or a veteran or a captain or anything less than a commander and you don't have commander's gear, because in ranked matches, the way they do this is they base it on your skills and whatnot like that, what have you. And sometimes you're one of those lower ranked and you find yourself fighting a commander, and that commander has commander's gear. Now sure, there's the duelist gear before then and whatnot like that, but if you go through all that and you buy the lowest tier gear, then you buy the duelist gear, and you're doing all this, and you're burning up tickets and all that whatnot, and by the time commander comes around, you have to come up with a whole new set of tickets doing tourney or whatnot or what have you to actually get the commander's gear. That's one. I have to get away from this corner. For some reason, there's like one really loud bird over here. I don't know what's it. There's always, yeah, there's one corner. Sorry, I got off the subject, but yeah, always like I forget to come up here, and there's a loud bird, and it aggravates me. Anyhow, back to the commander's thing. All right, you've got to go through a lot of tickets and a lot of trouble to get your commander's gear. But even before you get your commander's gear, you're fighting people who already have it. Okay, so they're already looking at a significant stat advantage on you. They are. Now, maybe these people earned it through, you know, trial by combat, and they actually did their combats. Maybe they boosted. You know, there's no way of, well, there actually is a way of telling, but we'll get to that in a minute. There's no way of getting around it, is what I want to say with that, okay? So you're looking at, sure, whenever you're first starting out as a private, and you're mostly fighting other privates, and you have a good strat, and you're ready to go, you know, you've prepared your pet, you prepared yourself as much as you can with decent gear. That part is all well and good. Whenever you get up into that cusp area where you're a captain and you're just about to knock over the border into commander, that is the absolute toughest, as far as I'm concerned, the absolute toughest time in PvP. Because you'll find yourself, you'll go up a couple of matches, and then you'll fight a couple of commanders, and you'll go down a couple of matches. Anyhow, the point of the whole thing being is, I can see from a personal standpoint where people would want to boost to get their gear, to make themselves look better because they're walking around carrying that warlord badge. You know, they're carrying around the warlord title. There's a reasons that people would want to do the boosting. The problem with it is, or the thing with it is, it's perfectly allowable to do by KingsIsle's both rules and terms of service. Why is that? Do I think primarily? Well, this is why. That's right. You heard it there first. To do boosting, you need to have multiple accounts. And those multiple accounts either have to be spending crowns on day passes for this boosting, or they have to have memberships to do ranked at all, period. Either way, you have to have several accounts that are ranked. I'm going to go through a quick explanation of the boosting process. I have to say that I've been playing this game since 2008, and boosting was one of those things I always heard about boosting. And I always heard, he boosted this, that, and the other. But I was never really one of those players who was deeply into PvP. And so I never really investigated it until just recently. I was like, okay, well, you know what? So many people have asked me about PvP, so I'll go ahead and do it. And I started learning more and more about it, and I was like, well, what's with this boosting thing now? So I ran across a friend, Isaac Wildcaster, who knows a lot about the whole PvP and boosting process, and in fact gave me a formula that I'm going to share with you guys in a little while about PvP boosting and supposedly how to check to see if someone is a booster or not. We'll cover that in a minute. Anyhow, I'm going to go through a quick clip here and show you what the boosting process is and try to explain it as I go. Essentially what happens in boosting is you get either 2v2 or 4v4 amount of people together. That means either 4 accounts or 8 accounts. And on one set, the losing side, they have no cards. You disable all their cards. And that makes it an automatic loss once the match starts. Now, that is about the easiest way I've ever seen for somebody to gain rank. I'm surprised, personally, that KingsIsle hasn't put a stop to it. But again, we've got that little... And that's what you can always count on whenever you have a company. That's what they're looking at first. And as long as it doesn't really violate anybody's rules or, anybody's personal space or things like that, they'll do it. Okay, so that's why before now, boosting hasn't been outlawed. It hasn't been really addressed by KingsIsle or put a stop to. And honestly, the method that is being used to boost, and including all those crowns, I don't expect that they will put a stop to it. Honestly, guys, I don't. It doesn't really, in the long run, I don't think, hurt anything. Sure, someone has that Warlord title, but it's been my experience that it's like, it's like cooking. Okay, anybody can have the name chef on their white shirt with their white hat, but it doesn't mean that everybody can cook just because they have a white shirt and a white hat on. It's the same with PvP and boosting and getting that Warlord title through boosting. Guys, a lot of people complain about someone having the Warlord title through boosting, but you got to think about it. Okay, those people got that title through boosting. They really don't know anything about PvP. And a lot of times, if they enter a match with someone who does know something about PvP, they're meat. They're done. They're going to lose. They're going to be gone. And you're going to gain that much more, both tickets and rank, from fighting them. So, yeah, it is the easy way out. But really, guys who aren't boosting and you're doing your fights fair and square, do you really want to complain about it? It gives you an easy win. Really, it does. It gives you some easy rank up. And all of you who are doing straight fights know, guys, ranking up isn't the easiest thing to do ordinarily. So that's where I'm seeing it from the boosters side of the thing. It makes it a little bit easier, something that can be about as difficult as pulling the hen's teeth to do. And it also not being against terms of service, and that not being against terms of service pretty much means it's allowable. That pretty much means KingsIsle has been around long enough now, and especially with something like PvP, that if they saw harm in it, it would have been outlawed. Account sharing and banning and some of the language that people use and stuff like that. KingsIsle addresses that regularly and slaps down the ban, slaps down the mute, slaps down the punishments. By now, if they were going to punish people for PvP boosting, they probably would have. So if you're looking for the company to put a stop to it, they likely won't. All of these things work in the favor of the person who is PvP boosting. The only thing that actually doesn't work in their favor is gaining the real skills that you actually need to defeat someone who knows something about PvP. And that really, in a left-handed kind of way, helps the people who are fighting the legit fights, who are getting the legit rank, who are doing the legit matches. Because, guys, sure, that dude might have a warlord over his head, but he's going to be yours in the match, so what's the problem? Now let's go ahead real quick and look at this from the honest, well, I don't want to say honest because that's not really the right word, from the PvP player or fighter or character or whatever you want to call it, who actually gains his rank match by match, fighting people he doesn't know, doing the best that he can, and whatnot like that. Okay? I can understand also from this standpoint where the person who is putting in all that legit work, who has worked, slaved, and struggled to get the absolute best gear that they can, the absolute best pet that they can, I can see how it would sort of aggravate them that someone could come along and use, it's not really a cheap process, but it is a cheaper process or a quicker process or an easier process, whatever word you want to attach to it. I can see where it would bother someone who legit fought all those matches, sweated, strained, worried about losing, probably said more than a few bad curse words whenever they did lose because, well, they did the absolute best they could and luck just wasn't on their side in that match because, guys, I can tell you straight up, you can have the best gear in the world, you can have the best strat in the world, and luck can still give you the big old fist right where you don't want it. Most definitely can do that. I happen to have a pretty decent setup for PvP, for my various PvP characters. I happen to have great pets. I mean, Lady Shadow here is, whoo, she's bigger than I am. She's only half the size. And I happen to have all these things, and it took a lot of work to get it all set up that way. So I can see from the legit player standpoint where it aggravates them that somebody could have the Warlord title just because they had 4 or 8 accounts and zip through it on the boost process and now have all the titles and stuff like that, you know, the commander gear, the whatever else that they have just from boosting. I can see where that would aggravate the legit player. The problem that we have here is, and, well, it's the truth of the matter, I don't see where there's going to be any fast solution. Okay? So far as I know, so far as I've heard, so far as I've learned about, King's Isle has no intention of outlawing PvP boosting. I know that it sucks that you fight as hard as you can, that somebody who's boosting is up on the top of the ranking boards. I know that sucks. It's wrong that they could get to be that way. And that's one aspect of the boosting I don't really approve of, is the whole leaderboard thing. But guys who are playing legit, they're not. I don't see them changing anytime soon. So it's really not going to be something that we can do anything about for now. What you have to do if you are a legit PvP player is take your wins where you can get them. Realize that that person who is a warlord right now and has 0 defeats is most definitely boosting. Most definitely, because all of you know it doesn't matter how good you are. As a matter of fact, here's a great example the other day. One of the losses that I took the other day. I was in ranked waiting for my match, and my match came up, and the instant, I swear, the instant that I clicked go to arena, the power went out for like 3 hours. If it had been 5 seconds later, I could have not gone to the arena, you know, and just taken the, you know, the forfeit and been fine, but not lost a match. So things happen, bad luck crap, that no matter how good you are, of course you're going to lose some matches. Of course, if you see someone with 99 wins and 0 losses, guaranteed they're a boost. I'm going to go to Isaac's boost example here in just a minute, and I'm going to talk about the formula that he told me about, where you can tell if someone is pretty much a PvP booster or not. I mean, of course, other than the obvious, you know, 100 wins and 0 losses, that's obvious. Anyhow, let me go ahead and now and go to that clip really quick, and we will talk about that. Alright, well, like I said earlier in the video, even though I've been playing Wizard101 since pretty much the beginning of the game, way back in the day, I never really was that much about PvP or really interested in PvP, other than, you know, as a lark, as a funny kind of thing. We did the noob troop for a while there, but we were never really, like, serious about gaining rank or serious about tactics or strategy, or really serious about PvP at all. We just come and played and had fun, and that was it. Even though I've heard the term boosting before, I was never really interested enough into it. I mean, boosting, the term itself is obvious what it is, but I was never really interested enough in PvP or all the things that go along with it to learn how boosting is done. So I met up with one of my friends here, Isaac Wildcaster, who showed me what a 4v4 PvP boost is like, how it's done, you know, what goes on, that kind of thing. And I boosted a couple matches here just to see what it is, you know, that PvP boosters do and how they do it. He also gave me a formula, he says, that will show if a person is a booster or not, and I'm going to share that with you now. What he said was, you multiply their wins by 16 and their losses by 16. You subtract their wins from their losses and add 500, and that should just about come up with what their rank is. If it's off by a little bit, it could be due to some 2v2, anything, he didn't explain exactly what. It could be due to some 2v2 matches, or some kind of a change that is in 2v2 that makes a little bit of a difference. And it can be a little bit off from that number, but if it's majorly off from that number, then the person is more than likely a booster. And that's how he explained it to me. Again, I'm not really perfect on knowing everything there is to know about PvP. This is the formula that he gave me, and I accept it as truth because he's got no reason to tell me otherwise. Alright, so he's got a match set up here, a 4v4 match with some of his other characters, and I'm going to join into that match to show essentially what is done. What happens here basically is 4 characters are on one side, you have a max, or at least the highest level possible, and then you have the ones on the other side, the winning side, that are going to be the ones gaining rank. The ones on the losing side, from what I understand here, have all their cards, or actually their decks disabled, so they have no cards to draw. Here we go. Here goes the match. And what happens basically is, on that first round, the computer or the match detects they have no cards and gives them an automatic loss, and that's where you gain your rank from. The side that has no cards gets an automatic loss, and the side that you're supposed to be on gets an automatic win. And if you have a couple of different high levels, what you do apparently in between is you switch which ones are on the winning and losing sides so that your higher ranking players don't lose any rank by constantly losing to someone else to boost them up. That's how I understand this to be. And see, it checked for all the cards, and it gave us a victory because they didn't have any cards. Alright, so that's basically the method or the procedure by how PvP boosting is done in a 4v4. Apparently it works the same way in a 2v2. I'm going to pop back off of here and go back to my Outlaw's Refuge, and we will pick it up. Alright, so there it is. Even with a small demonstration there, we have seen boosting from both sides, and we've examined both sides of it. It leaves us with the question, should you boost or should you not boost? I think that the answer to that, the honest answer to that, is going to be in the individual person. It's frustrating, sure, to have to do some of the things you have to do in PvP without the right gear. It is frustrating. I will be the first to admit it. Is it well worth it to earn your rank by sweat, blood, tears, and various pieces of bad language? Yes, I think so. So the answer to the question, should you boost or should you not boost, really lies in yourself, in the person that you are, in the struggles that you feel like you can take and in the things that, really, in the person that you are. I said that already, and I know that, but that's really what it is. Are you a person who thrives on adversity, or are you a person who wants the easy way? That's just really just where it begins and ends. Do I feel that you should look down on other people who do or don't boost? No, I don't. Guys, I know that maybe it's profit-oriented, but for whatever reason, King's Isle has not put a stop to boosting after all this time. Apparently, well, so far as I know, it seems like if they haven't put a stop to it, and they've obviously got to know about it, then they obviously don't mind that it's done. I mean, think about it. They banned people for picking up too many glowing mushrooms. They banned people for picking up too many tomato baskets. They banned people for mass harvesting elder plants back whenever the gardening glitch was working. But they haven't banned people for boosting after all this time. I'm not saying that they necessarily agree with it, but it's like glitching, period. Okay, glitching itself alters things, and yes, the gardening glitch exploits gardening, but that's one of those things they've chosen to allow. It seems to me that they've had to know about boosting before now, and all this time they've allowed it. And until it affects profit, I don't see them changing it. So really, do I think you should look down on someone for boosting? Not necessarily. I think you should smile, be happy, and then if they actually fight you in a match, beat them to death. That's what I think. I think that boosting is all well and good. Maybe you should do it on a very limited basis. Shouldn't just go all the way up to Warlord, 56 wins, 0 losses, that kind of thing. But that, well, how do I put this? This is really a tough question. I feel that both sides are right. Maybe that's a wishy-washy answer for it, but well, that's really what I think. I think that the people who want to boost, even if they take away the current method for it, they'll find another way to do it. I think that the people who have fought their way up through the ranks match by match with good strategies, a little bit of good luck and good gear, more than even average, deserve kudos for that work. But I also think that this question isn't going to be answered anytime soon. And so, well, not even answered. I think this question isn't going to be resolved anytime soon. So, honest PvPers, again, I'm using that word honest. PvPers who have run up the ranks through the legit one-at-a-time matches against real opponents, guys, pat yourselves on the back. You've done a great thing. The people who boosted are likely to be easy meat for you because they don't have the strategies in mind. They don't have the equipment and know-how and things that it takes to make a top-ranked PvPer for real. But you don't have to hate them. I mean, hey, like I said, just face them in a match. You're ready to go. It's an easy win. The guys who boost, guys, I understand how hard it is to do some things around here. I do. I can see why you would do that. So really, at the end of the day, it depends on the kind of person that you are, your personality, what you believe is right, and you got to proceed from there. Guys, I'm sure I didn't really clear up anything in this video, but I really wanted to talk about it and present both sides of the views and give a little bit of information where I could and do what I can. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, a good hard smash. As well, subscribe, share, and yell my name to everybody you know, because I would love to see more of you around here. Until next time, this is Skelemystyk reminding you that whatever else you do, always love the game. Peace. Hey, what's up, Skelemystyk? As all of you know who play PvP much at all, and in fact, if you play it quite a lot, as you may know, whenever you're going for PvP, when you're trying to win matches, every little bit of stat that you can gain or add to yourself counts. Every little thing that you